Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Money and Mindset at 40 Plus, where we invite you to hashtag play big and get out of your comfort zones, address those money fears and conquer those money fears that are, I'm just going on here, Jenny. I'm Sylvia.
Chew you up and mess you up royally. I'm Jenny.
And we have a special guest with us. One of the Charlie's Angels here. Can you see? Her name is Lara Wellman. Welcome, Lara.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
We were saying we look like Charlie's Angels. We've got the blonde, we've got the dark hair in the middle, and we've got the lighter brown at the end. And we feel like Charlie's Angels sometimes. I don't know who Charlie is.
Yeah, who is Charlie? That's interesting, Sylvia.
Anyway, as we're rambling here, we have a great show. We're so excited to have Lara. Lara, Jenny, and I go way back, I think about 5 years now, if not going on 5 or 6. I don't know. We all met in a business mastermind, and we still mastermind together once in a while, well, quite often, actually. I call Lara my soul sister because whatever she wants in her life, apparently I seem to also want. Isn't that right, Lara?
Well, I mean, yeah, we want a lot of the same things, and I think we think a lot of the same ways. So,
one of them being a personal chef. That is, if you see my vision board here, I think, didn't you want the personal chef?
Yeah, to be clear, we don't want to be personal chefs. We would like to have a personal chef, just in case there was any confusion there.
And this show, we got the impetus for the show, or the idea, the creative genius behind this episode. Lara and I, we go on tangents on Messenger, and we start emailing and texting each other all sorts of, funny emojis, and because we're both hilarious. And we started chatting and talking about, oh my gosh, what's this latest trend about? Before it was, striving for 6 figures, and now it's 7 figures. And I saw someone striving, telling everybody we should go for 8 figures. And I'm like, have to calculate how many figures is that? That's like 10 million and plus. And I'm like, sure. And then we started talking about the trends in marketing and the trends of, now we all have to be goddesses, or the heart-centered entrepreneur, the soul-centered goddess, and all of these names. And we were having fun with that. And then we said, let's get on the show, because Lara is one of the most authentic people that Jenny and I know. Right, Jenny?
And indeed.
Yeah. She's going to tell us a little bit about her journey here as a business coach, but Lara shows up as Lara and on screen. And we shared a picture. The promo for this is at a cottage where we just got together to brainstorm and help each other out in our businesses. Well, she's the same on her deck as she is going to be in this show. And not everybody is that way. I strive to be that way. But Lara is going to talk to us about that, because I think that's part of her special sauce.
Yeah, 100%. I could go on. The only one thing I want to say about Lara for me is, I said this before the show started, when I write emails to you guys, when I'm sending out e-blasts, I often think, what would Lara do? And I force myself to write in that sort of parlance that's comfortable and sounds like me. And I try and press send within the first 5 minutes, because if I don't, I'll lose my confidence and I'll go back and start editing. So Lara, you've been a big inspiration for me with your email blasts. So thank you. And we'll give lots of time to how you guys can connect with Lara at the end. But first of all, Lara, how the heck did you get into this business coaching thing? Give us the Coles Notes. Like, why do you want people to love their businesses?
So the Coles Notes version is that I was in marketing and communications. That was like the corporate life. I worked in a university, and that's what I did. And then I did it in a consulting capacity. And I have been using social media, for lack of a better word, since before it really existed. And so it was a really comfortable space for me to get into Twitter and all of the social networks and how to use them. And I saw so many business owners who struggled with it. And so I started to teach them how to do it. But with my background in communications, people would come to me. They're like, Lara, I have a marketing problem. I need you to help me with the marketing. And we would talk, and I'd be like, you don't have a marketing problem. You have like a foundational business structure, your foundation isn't strong enough. We need to know what it is that you're doing and why and what are you selling, and then we can talk about marketing it. And so for some marketing people, what happens when that happens, because it pretty much happens to all of us, is either you send them to somebody who can help them, or you start figuring out how to help them with that. And I loved helping them with that. I really was like, you know what? The marketing stuff, I know how to do it, but like, right? And then, but like, let me help you figure out how to actually tell people what you do, because you actually know. And people don't, right? They're like, I'm a business coach, but that's not enough. You need to really understand more than that. You can't just sell business coaching. Like, you need to know what it is that you sell, and helping people figure that out so that it was something that they wanted to do and wanted to sell. Like, that's the stuff that gets me excited. So that's how I ended up from the marketing communications over at Business Coach. And it was just because I want to help people get into business, and then after a few years they start to hate it and resent it, and it's not what they thought it was going to be. But what if it could be?
Well, I mean, we all joined a mastermind because we were frustrated at one point in our businesses. We wanted more. We wanted to do things differently. We felt we weren't, we just needed that vision. I love what you said, Lara, about, it's not just being a business coach, because right now I'm trying to figure out all of that, take that extra step, right? And I was like, I don't sit well with the term business coach, because for me that means putting in the, putting PDFs about marketing and funnels and teaching people all about that, and that's not what I do. So then I was like, oh, what kind of business coach am I? And I wrote that down last night. So this is very, taking that next step, and it comes down to, who am I? Be you. Well, who am I? Oh my gosh. Right. Yeah. How do I get the words to get that across to the people so that I can love my business even more?
Yeah. I mean, business coach is tons of people use it, right? So then this becomes this whole everybody thinks they're a coach. Fine, who cares? Everybody can think they're a coach, right? But what kind of coach do you want to be? What does that mean for you? And then explain it to people, because certainly some people come to me and they want strategy and they want, right? So they want me to teach them stuff, and that's not really coaching.
Yeah, it's teaching.
It's consulting. But then there are the conversations. But a lot of the time, people think they need strategy. That's not what they need. They just need somebody to help them remember that they already know what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to pick up on something here. Lara, when I think of you, I think of the term going against the grain, or choosing consciously to be different. How has that helped your business grow and, like you said, stand out in a really, really complicated, complex marketplace?
It's interesting, because I don't think of myself as going against the grain. But I think it's fascinating to hear that other people do. But what's happened for me, I mean, this has been a process, I think 5 or 6 years in the making. Oh, I have so many thoughts. Right? So there's, I think, the whole 40+ thing is important. Like, we all grew up being told that there are rules and ways to do things, and that you should be professional, and that you should be respectful. And we all grew up thinking that business communication should be in the third person and formal, because when it's formal, it sounds professional. And so that's right? It's kind of like the 2 spaces after a period, it's ingrained in you. And we've had to break out of that, because people don't actually want to consume content that way. And we don't actually like to create content that way. It's just a habit. And so what happened for me over the course of the last 5 or 6 years is I started giving myself permission to stop following the rules all the time, right? So even as a marketing professional, I was like, you should niche. You got to be really clear. If you keep mixing up your messages, people aren't going to know what you do. But I really was a marketing person who wanted to talk about things that were more than marketing. And so if I followed those rules, I would have stuck to a thing I didn't really want to do. And instead I was like, but I really feel called to do this. And so I'm going to break this rule. I don't always want people to think I'm serious. I'm not really a serious, formal person. So why am I trying to pretend to be, right? I want to talk to them.
We were going to get out the onesies because Lara has some onesies that we get to wear them sometimes at parties and at conferences. We're going to get those pictures, or maybe we should burn those pictures, Jenny.
There's one that involves a carrot. That's all I'm going to say about that.
My first onesie was a career onesie. And I remember my husband bought it for me for my birthday. And I was like, I love that when I said I would like this, he didn't think I was kidding. And he actually bought it for me.
Well, he did marry you, right? I mean, he knew what he was getting into. Yeah. I love that idea. And let's take it a step further. How do you figure that out? Like, what's your process? I'm in a group where they're always saying, get into silence, in silence mode. Is it just, get these inklings in your heart what's your process? How do you figure all that out?
I don't know.
I love that.
I mean, I think part of it is just follow, like when I want to do a thing, when a thing excites me, it's not getting stuck in like, oh, people will think blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I still fight with that, right? So if we come to the 7-figure with 7 and 8-figure, right? Like the 7 and 8-figure people, they're fancy people, right? So it's one thing for me to not be a fancy person if I want you to make 6 or multiple 6 figures. But if I want you to make 7 figures, I think I need to look fancy. Like, do I? I don't know. But it's when things start pushing up, asking myself, is that true? What do I actually want to do? What still feels exciting? And what do I feel gutsy enough to actually follow through on? Because there are things I would like to, and then I'm like, I'm not ready. Yeah. Right? Like that happens all the time.
Yeah. So I want to hone in. Where do you feel it when you get excited about something? Is it in your gut? Is it just that you keep coming back to it?
Where do I feel it? I mean, my excitement definitely is more like heart area. Yeah. But it's just like it becomes a thing I think about all the time, right? Like it just keeps coming back. It keeps rolling back around for me. And my big thing is I want people to know that I care, like genuinely care, and then I want them to do well. So everything that I'm doing, like when I'm talking in my emails, I'm like, hey, like I want you to feel like I really mean this. And that I feel like I can't write that if I'm like too formally. Like, how are you you're not going to get any emotions across if I sound too formal. And like, I want you to hear it, even though you're reading. This is how I feel about it. So that's like how I'm trying to convey messaging in a way that has feeling in it and like that generally captures how I would talk to you.
Well, I think we've all seen those examples where you get copy or reading someone's website, and then you get the person on the phone and they're not the same person. So you might have been attracted to one, in the copy and the website, and you go and do research, and then you see them in person and they're totally different, and that's, I think, that when we talk about authentic, and I know that word has been just, thrown around so many, be authentic, be authentic. What does that mean? Well, we're just bringing it. Let's take a word, the authentic. It's be you. Show up as yourself. And what does that mean? And this is not just if you have a business, you could be it's in anything in life, even in your job. I was telling Jenny and Lara about a situation where I had gone for a job interview, and I think I'd had 2 job interviews with the same company. And I asked the question at least 3 times, what do you guys do for fun around here? Right? Because I realized later that fun is one of my top values. I love to have fun, and I like to, I hope that comes out when I speak with all of you. And they zoomed over the question, not zooming here. They just passed over the question. This was in-person interviews at the time, many years ago. And little red flag. Oh, they didn't answer that. They jumped right over it. And I came back to it a second time and a third time in the second interview, and they never did. I took the job anyway. Well, ladies, was that a good job for me? No. Jenny, that whole time when I was, it was not a good fit. Yeah. So it's really, really, what does that mean? So coming back, an exercise I could give you would be to look at those core values. What's important to you? In your jobs, in your careers, in your communities? Are you showing up as yourself? And if you're not, if we're always hiding, right, Lara, when you're saying, well, no, I'm not ready there, I don't want to, I don't want to show up there, we're playing small. That's not playing big. Right?
Ultimately, what that is that you're hoping somebody will accept you, and you've never asked yourself if you accept them. Right? So we get So like, it's not just like, do you want to like me? Do you accept me? Do you want to be with me? Because maybe there are a whole bunch of people out there who would really like me, who I wouldn't like back, but like, we need to like remember that we get to decide that for ourselves as well, that we get to ask, is this good for me? Not just, am I good for you?
Mic drop, clunk.
Mic drop, boom. Yes, we've got some wonderful people. Does this resonate with you? How do you all show up? People who are listening, how do you show up in your spaces as yourself? What does that mean to you? Jenny, what does that mean for you, showing up as yourself?
So I'm thinking about how my client group, which are executives often in the not-for-profit world, are hide behind the foundation barrier from communications, Lara. So what you said about supposed to sound a certain way, supposed to look a certain way, really, really resonates with me. I'm trying to think of, because at the end of the day, a foundation is a group of people who care about something in their community. I'm thinking of hospital foundations right now, but it could be any not-for-profit. And the fear that people have about putting their name forward and saying, this matters to me, this is how I feel about this organization. What are some of the ticker tapes that you hear when people are uncomfortable putting themselves, their real selves, out there? Is it like, I'm worried that I'm going to insult someone, I'm afraid that our brand will be damaged because of what I say? Like, what are some of those ticker tapes, Lara?
I think they don't even get to that place where they worry about the reaction, and there's the roadblock of, I don't know how to do it. Like, I don't know how to write, right? I don't know how to write. I'm not comfortable on video, right? There's the barriers go up before you even can get to the place of just how comfortable you're going to be and how authentic you're going to be. And so it's remembering to, first of all, do the things that you feel comfortable with most, right? So if you're not comfortable with writing, start with video. If you're not comfortable with video, start with audio. Like, talk. Like, one of my best tips has always been talk. And there's so many tools for that right now, right? Like, there's Otter is a great one. I think it's free for almost as much as you would want to use it as an individual. Just talk into it. Pretend you're telling your best friend or your colleague the thing that you care about, and then see what it comes up as. And that's how you start to remember that when you write, and I'm telling you, especially 40 plus, when you sit down and you're like, I'm going to write something conversational, and you sit down and it comes out of your fingers formal.
Yeah, it does. I worked with a client recently and we were doing a sales page. She wanted me to look at her sales page. I'm not a sales page expert, but I said, I will look at your copy. She's a PhD and, runs a business, and it just sounded so, I just sat up listening to this and I just felt so proper. I was like, no, we're talking relationships. You're a relationship coach now, come on. This is you're talking to your BFF, get into the feels of how it sucks not having a partner at 40 years old. Right. And she goes, that's okay. I got that. And then she went back and then did that. And I was like, whoa, what a difference, right? That's going to sell. And, we are in the making money, the business of making money, and helping our clients make money, right, Lara, as coaches, and Jenny, same thing. So when it's that feel that we started this conversation with, how can we get that feeling across?
Yeah. And I have a good example, actually. Jenny, you were on in the audience for a panel I was on one time. Yep. And this panel, there was a lot of people bringing out research and formal positions, and I was on this panel, and as soon as they all started talking, I was like, oh, they didn't mean to invite me, because they're everybody's the research shows, and I was like, well, just be gentle with yourself, right? And I was like, oh, I bombed this thing. If this is what they wanted, I was not that. And then I got feedback from other people at the end. Were like, thank goodness that you brought a different thing into this. So for all of the I wasn't what they wanted. One of these things is not like the other. I bombed it. Remembering other people want that, right? They want the you that is different. And so immediately thinking I'm not like what I'm supposed to be is the reaction we have. But it turned out people liked it.
Yeah.
Well, we're not there to get everybody, right? Yeah. I mean, in an audience of 100, we're not there to get all 100 of people, and not 100 people will like us or want to work with us, but a few of them will resonate with that message, right? And that's what we're after.
Yeah. Let's be honest. We look at who unsubscribes before we look at who subscribes to our email list. We're more, I do it. I look at who's unsubscribed because they don't like me rather than the ones that do.
It has become a rule of mine to no longer look at that.
Nice.
I've never looked.
I used to. Every email. How many unsubscribes did I get? Who was it? Oh, right. That used to be a thing. And now I do not look.
I think I'm just because I'm MailChimp unsavvy. That's probably it. That I wouldn't even know where to go.
I knew how.
I want to pick up on what you just said about formal versus informal just for a moment, because I feel like this is a great lesson for my not-for-profit folks. And then I have no idea where we're going to go next, you guys, because it's going to be epic and it's going to be free-flowing. But here's one of my pet peeves. Thank you letters. Somebody took the time to find you on a website, click through the umpteen pages, because none of us have very good or very formatted donate pages. They get to the end and they get this. On behalf of the board of directors of the foundation of the XYZ, we'd like to thank you for your generous gift. This year, our plans are blah, blah, blah. We will do blah, blah, blah. We sound awesome. We're amazing. And you are lucky to have given to us. Honestly, what the heck is that? Let's start with
boring.
Hey, you rock. You found us and you gave. I think you're awesome. And I can't wait to keep in touch with you. How's that sound?
Well, it's all about that experience, right? And I think when we start talking about bringing in clients for all three of us is what experience from the get-go, from our websites to the emails, and what can that flavor that we bring out. And I think Lara is a great storyteller, and she brings out these stories, and I'm always like, again, how can I, what would Lara write or what would Lara do, right? I think we have to have that hashtag WWLD. But I have looked at her emails before and I'm like, how does she get those stories? I tell stories, but I think I'm more verbal in telling them than writing them down. But yeah.
Okay. I want to go to the hot button round. Lara, what's one thing that people might not know about you or might be surprised to learn?
So part of the problem is that I share so much about me. I was like, nobody's gonna be surprised about anything. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. So maybe I'll just share this is I have aphantasia, which means I can't visualize anything in my brain. Right? I do not have that ability.
Like if I tell you, like, picture a tree, you can't visualize a tree.
No, not like a photo or video, right? Like other people can like close your eyes and that's what they see. They see it. And I'm like, well, I can think of a tree, which is what I thought all of you were doing before. Like I know what a tree is, but do I see it? No. And the reason, so number one, that people find that interesting because it is, but it's also just like, I love to talk about how different our brains all are. So stop trying to think we can do everything the same way for everybody. We all have brains that work differently. So there is no one way to do a thing. It's going to work for me, isn't going to work for you. Every time somebody tells me to close my eyes and meditate and picture a place, I'm like,
yeah, you had put a great thing on Facebook at one point, and it was like, how do you solve this? It was a simple math problem too. And there were like 50 ways to solve it. And I just thought like everyone did it my way. And then you did it another way and all your friends were doing it. I was like, oh, wow, that's great. That is such a great way to approach our businesses and our jobs. There are different, and leadership, right? When we're leading our teams, there are different ways of doing things. We often want to find people that are, copying us or doing things our way, but sometimes our way is not the best way. And to allow them. And that comes back to being you, letting our teams be themselves, letting our clients be themselves. What a great, fascinating conversation.
I got another question. You have just been given, you have the power, Genie Lara, to wave your magic wand and give all business owners one thing. What do you give them?
So I'm going to put a caveat on first and say all the business owners that I really love to work with, not all of them in the world.
Sounds good.
Confidence. Right? A little bit more belief in themselves and that what they have is valuable and people want it, because I really believe that there are so many business owners and just like people like in organizations who don't really realize how valuable they are, right? Like they don't walk in thinking like this is a thing people need. They think like, well, I can do this for you if you want it, but like not like, no, you need this because it's going to help your business. It's going to help you make more money, whatever it is. And confidence is it's a million things. It's a way to make more money because you can ask for what you're worth. It's a thing that helps you enjoy what you're doing more. Like when you feel like you're not good enough, that sucks.
Oh,
doesn't it? It really does. It's heart-wrenching, and we feel it right in here. We've all felt it. Everyone's felt it.
The thing I've been saying lately about confidence, I love that, Lara. I just think that just really speaks to who you are, too, that to share that with everybody. So thank you. Just really thank you. But I've been thinking as a woman, I read an article about women and self-doubt and how, yes, we need confidence, but we also need to change our relationship with our self-doubt. In other words, can we be compassionate with our self-doubt when our self-doubt comes in and says, oh my God, you're going to suck at that meeting, going, thanks so much. Really appreciate the feedback, self-doubt, but I'm going to stretch myself and I'm going to go for it anyway, versus that self-doubt becoming paralyzing. And that really helps me. I don't know. It's just sort of, it's a gentleness that, and compassion's a big word of mine, to like embrace that part of me that's trying to protect me, but say, I'm good here. I'm going to go for it. I don't know. Does that help? Does that resonate, Lara?
I mean, I think it's super important. One is it's okay to be nervous, right? Like, so it's not that you want to get to a place where nothing scares you and nothing feels like a stretch. We still want things like that sounds boring. Right? Like, I try to do things on a regular basis that scare me, and know that my process is going to involve me being a bit unhappy as I go through it. So the example, my latest example, just like no, maybe not. We'll give the example of about a year ago when I did a stand-up comedy class. Like I did not particularly enjoy that process.
And I think you'd be so good at it.
But I was really proud of myself at the end, right? Like I did a set and people thought it was funny and I was tickled that they did. But like the full day going up to actually giving that set, I was like a miserable person to be around. And I was like, you know what? This is sort of part of my process right now. I'm really deeply uncomfortable. And I did it on purpose and it's okay. And there will be growth on the other side. So it's not that there's like everything has to be easy all the time. We want there to be challenges. It's okay if things scare us, but we also want to be like, okay, I can do things that are scary and be okay. I can do things that are challenging and be okay. And I can try to avoid things that are scary and then ask myself if I want to do it anyway.
That's so good. I'm in a group right now, Lara, and it's very inspiring. It's exactly what you're talking about is every month, not occasionally, every month, do something that's out of your comfort zone. So in planning it out, and it is a business group, and they were talking about up leveling. So why don't you go and book an appointment to test drive a Tesla? Like the feelings that came up there. Another one was go and lie down in front of the shopping mall.
Wow.
Or in the shopping mall on the floor and see what comes up. People will come.
That one makes me extraordinarily uncomfortable.
Doesn't it? And then like you get the people, oh, there's germs on the floor. I don't want to do that. Well, someone's bring a yoga mat. Oh, but then, anyway, interesting. And so I like, oh yeah, what am I going to do that gets me out of my comfort zone? I don't think I do that enough.
That's great.
Yeah.
So my thought is too, we're a mindset show. How do you reframe uncomfortable to, oh, look at this cool growth opportunity we have?
Yeah.
And I think it's looking at the things and then deciding which one you really want to do, even though it makes you uncomfortable. Right. Like, and knowing that it's going to change. Like 5 years ago, I would never, ever have even I would not have contemplated, let alone decided to do the stand-up comedy thing, right? Like it would not have been in my it's like I'm getting uncomfortable thinking about how uncomfortable I would have been, right? Like, so it changes. It's like knowing what is this thing that makes me uncomfortable and do I want to do it anyway?
Yeah, I love this.
I love it.
And it all brings out the different facets of yourself. And that's what this show is all about, right? The more we are ourselves, the more our businesses reflect us, the more people that love what we give and have to offer will sign up with us. And then we make more money. I mean, or we're more happier or more fulfilled in our careers. This has been a wonderful opportunity, Lara. Thank you so much. This has been a wonderful opportunity. Did you hear my word? This has been a wonderful opportunity. So formal. This was the bomb, Lara. This is the bomb. Thank you for coming. We want to leave people with a takeaway. Did you already give your takeaway? I don't think you did.
No, I didn't. I think my takeaway is just to make sure that you stop and ask yourself if you like how things are going, right? Like we get so stuck in autopilot, right? Like I'm just supposed to keep moving forward. My next thing is to whatever it was, right? Like and you don't stop and you're like, do I like this?
Yeah.
Do I want to keep doing this? Is this working? So stop and ask yourself. Like that's a thing I do. I have an email that goes out to all of my clients every Friday. That's like, how'd this week go? What do you want to do more of? What do you want to do less of? Anything like noteworthy to say? And I, the ones that do it get the biggest results. And it's not for me. It's like, they're like, I don't want to bother you with the answers. I was like, listen, like, this is not for me. Like, I am very curious. Please do send me the answers. But this is not an exercise that is somehow for me. Like, this is for you to actually spend the time doing it.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest thing is make sure you're stopping on a regular basis and saying like, how's it going? Do I like this?
So intention and choice is my translation. That choice has been a word I've talked about this many, many times on our episodes together. Sylvia will know it's close to my heart. Choosing what you want to do, and I love the way you're challenging us to reflect. Sounds like you have a little goodie for us or something.
I do have a reflection worksheet, so I can put the link in here. And if people want to grab it, I don't know if this shows up everywhere.
I
That
think
show up everywhere I put it.
Go for it.
Well, we're going to put it in the show notes on the YouTube channel and in our Facebook groups, and people can go click on it.
Wonderful. And thank you again, Lara. If you have a great Facebook group and if they want to connect with you, what's your email? Just so we have it on the tape as well.
Oh, yeah.
Lara at larawellman.com. Is that it?
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. And I want to, next week's show, have to talk about next week's show, which is, do you feel like you're invisible? We're going to kind of take that apart. Oof.
That's a big show, Jenny. That's a big show.
I chose that one. I picked that one. but we're still having fun. So I propose that we go out of this show. It's going to sound awful because we're going to be on 3 different lines, but we sing the music to Charlie's Angels because we should.
Really? Do you want to make us uncomfortable? I don't know this one.
You guys just dance around.
You go, Jenny.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Really appreciate it. Here we go.
Thank you.
You getting time now, Sylvia?
Goodbye, everyone. I'm just enjoying this. Bye, everyone.